What if everything you believe is real isn't? What if the world you see, the truths you accept without question, the reality you scroll through each day, is nothing more than projection, shadow play, illusion masquerading as substance? You're holding a device right now, or perhaps it's holding you. 24 centuries ago, a philosopher named Plato described a cave where prisoners watched shadows dance on stone walls, mistaking flickers of light for reality itself. He couldn't have imagined his cave would be reconstructed in silicon and glass, that the shadows would become infinite, personalized, algorithmically optimized for maximum captivity, that the chains wouldn't be metal, but invisible, woven from dopamine, distraction, and the seductive comfort of manufactured consensus. This isn't ancient history. This is the architecture of your daily experience. This is the infrastructure of modern consciousness. Let's descend into the cave, not to stay, but to understand how deep we've gone and whether there's still a way out. Plato's Allegory begins with imprisonment. Imagine prisoners chained inside a cave since birth. They cannot turn their heads, cannot look behind them. All they perceive are shadows projected on the wall ahead, cast by objects passing before a fire they cannot see. These shadows constitute their entire universe. They name them, debate them, build entire systems of knowledge around their movements and patterns. To them, the shadows aren't representations of reality. They are reality. Now imagine one prisoner breaks free. The fire's light burns his eyes. He's never experienced direct light. The objects casting shadows seem less real than the shadows themselves. Everything he believed is inverting, destabilizing. Then he's dragged upward, out of the cave, into the blinding radiance of the sun. Initially, he sees nothing. The light is agony. But slowly, gradually, his vision adjusts. He perceives actual trees, not shadow trees. The sky, stars, the sun itself, the source of all light and life. He understands finally that the shadows were pathetic imitations of a vastly richer, more complex reality. He has achieved what Plato called true knowledge, but the story contains a darker turn. The enlightened prisoner feels compelled to return, to free the others. Back in the cave's darkness, his adjusted eyes can barely see. He stumbles, appears weakened. When he describes the world outside, the other prisoners think him delusional. His new vision is a disability in their shadow world. They prefer familiar illusions to threatening truths. And if he persists in trying to free them, Plato suggests they might kill him rather than question their reality. This allegory was about ignorance versus knowledge, illusion versus truth, the difficulty of enlightenment. Plato saw the shadows as mere opinions, gossip, conventional wisdom. The sun represented ultimate truth, what he called the form of the good. But he was mapping epistemology, not prophecy. He couldn't foresee that his metaphor would become literal, that humanity would construct its own caves, more sophisticated than anything ancient Greece imagined, that we would chain ourselves voluntarily, eagerly, that we would demand more shadows, more personalized, more engaging, more perfectly calibrated to keep us facing the wall. Look around your world. The chains aren't iron, they're behavioural loops engineered by psychologists and perfected through billions of data points. The fire isn't flame, it's server farms consuming more electricity than entire nations, burning resources to project our personalised shadow plays. And the shadows? They are your feed, your recommended content, your algorithmically curated reality. The puppet masters are algorithms, mathematical functions optimized for a single metric: engagement, not truth, not your well-being, not the development of your consciousness or the enrichment of your understanding. Engagement, time on platform, attention captured and monetized. These systems learn you with inhuman precision. They map your psychology through your behavior. What makes you pause, what triggers anger, what sparks joy, what generates fear, what keeps you scrolling past the point of intention. They construct a model of you more accurate than your own self-perception. And then they feed that model exactly what will keep it engaged. This creates something Plato never imagined: personalized caves, echo chambers where your existing beliefs receive constant reinforcement, while contradicting information gets filtered into algorithmic irrelevance. You're not seeing the same shadows as the person beside you. Each prisoner now occupies a custom-built reality tunnel, making shared truth progressively more difficult to establish. The genius and the horror is that it feels like choice, like discovery, like you're exploring reality when you're actually exploring an increasingly narrow representation of reality, carefully curated to keep you comfortable and captive. The objects casting shadows have changed too. Influencers and content creators have become professional shadow casters. They present manufactured, optimized, often sponsored versions of life, success, beauty, happiness. Everything is curated, every moment staged, every image filtered, every caption workshop tested for maximum engagement. And we compare our behind-the-scenes reality to their highlight performances. We measure our messy, complex, unfiltered lives against their carefully constructed illusions. This creates a profound psychological distortion. Depression and anxiety rates correlate directly with social media usage, particularly among young people. Not because of the platforms themselves, but because of this fundamental categorical error, comparing reality to performance, substance to shadow. The fitness influencer doesn't show you the lighting tricks, the 50 failed takes, the editing, the angles. The lifestyle blogger doesn't monetize the anxiety, the debt, the stage sponsorships. You see the shadow, perfect, unattainable, and you believe it's real. Now we've crossed into territory that would have seemed like dark sorcery, even to Plato's imagination. The shadows themselves have become generative. Deep fakes, AI-generated imagery, synthetic media. We've entered an era where the distinction between captured reality and manufactured illusion has functionally collapsed. You can no longer trust your own perception. Video evidence, once considered irrefutable, can now be fabricated with sufficient sophistication to fool experts. A political figure can appear to say things they never said. Events that never occurred can be rendered with photorealistic precision. Your own face can be mapped onto another body without your knowledge or consent. The cave wall isn't just displaying shadows anymore. It's generating them autonomously, creating infinite variations of unreality that compete with actual events for cognitive space. And here's the truly unsettling part. Once you know perfect fabrication is possible, how do you evaluate anything? When deepfakes exist, every controversial video becomes suspect. When AI can generate any image, photography loses its claim to truth. We're not just imprisoned by the shadows, we're losing the ability to distinguish shadow from substance, simulation from reality, the map from the territory. None of this is accidental. The cave is profitable. The attention economy runs on a simple equation. Attention equals money. Your eyeballs viewing ads generate revenue. Your data generates targeting precision that increases ad effectiveness. The longer you stay in the cave, the more profitable you become. Social media platforms are engineered with the same behavioral psychology that makes slot machines addictive. Variable reward schedules, endless scrolling, notification triggers, the micro dopamine hits of likes and comments. These aren't bugs, they're features. Deliberately designed features, tested and refined through billions of interactions, optimized to keep you engaged past the point of enjoyment, past the point of utility, into the realm of compulsion. And the incentive structure has no off-ramp. There's no profit in your enlightenment, no quarterly earnings in your freedom, no shareholder value in your escape from the cave. The business model requires your captivity. The consequences of cave dwelling extend far deeper than distraction. They're rewiring fundamental aspects of human cognition and social functioning. Humans evolved cognitive shortcuts, heuristics that helped us make rapid decisions with limited information. Useful when running from predators, problematic when navigating complex modern information environments. Confirmation bias, our tendency to seek information confirming existing beliefs, is among the most powerful. In a pre-digital world, it was constrained by information scarcity. You encountered viewpoints you disagreed with simply because information sources were limited. The algorithm eliminates that constraint. It identifies your biases and feeds them. Your filter bubble becomes hermetically sealed. Information contradicting your worldview gets coded as threat, as enemy propaganda from a different cave. This creates tribal epistemology, truth determined not by evidence but by tribal affiliation. If someone from your cave says it, it's true. If someone from another cave says it, it's false, regardless of evidence. We're losing the shared framework that makes democratic discourse possible. Not because we disagree, disagreement is healthy, but because we can't even agree on what constitutes reality. Constant exposure to emotionally charged, engagement-optimized content exhausts our capacity for critical evaluation. Every piece of content is designed to trigger immediate emotional response. Outrage, fear, tribal pride, moral righteousness. System 1 thinking, fast, emotional, intuitive, gets activated continuously. System 2 thinking, slow, analytical, skeptical, requires effort, energy, time. When you're processing hundreds of pieces of content daily, the cognitive load of skeptical evaluation becomes unsustainable. So we default, we accept. We react rather than reflect. Critical thinking becomes radical, asking, is this actually true? Or, what's the source? Or, who benefits from me believing this? Becomes exceptional rather than standard. The cave cultivates passive consumption. Questioning becomes exhausting. Easier to just accept the shadows, to let them wash over you, to surrender critical faculties in exchange for cognitive ease. Just as Plato's prisoners threatened anyone who challenged their shadow reality, there's immense social pressure to remain in your designated cave. Question a popular narrative within your ideological tribe, and you risk exile. Being ratioed, quote tweeted into oblivion, accused of being a traitor, a plant-controlled opposition. The cost of intellectual independence has never been more socially visible or immediately punishing. Online communities develop immune responses to dissident thinking. Anyone questioning the consensus gets attacked not with arguments, but with social punishment, mockery, ostracism, character assassination. It's often safer, socially, emotionally, professionally, to just agree that the shadows are real, to perform belief, to police your own thoughts before they become socially costly. The cave offers comfort, community, identity. Challenging it means risking isolation, and humans are social creatures. We evolved to fear exile more than almost anything. The algorithm knows this. The design exploits it. This isn't just psychological, it's neurological. Social media platforms trigger dopamine release through unpredictable rewards. Every scroll might contain something interesting, upsetting, validating. The uncertainty creates a gambling-like compulsion. Notification badges exploit our novelty bias and fear of missing out. That red dot triggers a small stress response until you check it, creating a behavioural loop. Stress, check. Temporary relief, new notification, stress. Over time, these patterns alter brain structure. Studies show correlations between heavy social media use and changes in grey matter density, attention span, and emotional regulation. We're not weak-willed. We're facing industrial-scale behavioural engineering, backed by billions in research and development, optimised through AI and refined through your own behaviour data. The cave isn't just around us, it's being built inside us, one notification at a time. So how do we escape? Plato was clear. The journey toward enlightenment is supposed to hurt. The light burns. Adjusted eyes must readjust. Comfortable illusions must be surrendered. Social bonds may break. There's no easy exit from a cave you've lived in your entire life, but there are steps, practices, ways to begin loosening chains you might not have realised you were wearing. First, break your algorithm deliberately. The algorithm learns you through your behaviour. Change your behaviour and you begin disrupting its model. Follow sources you disagree with, genuinely thoughtful ones, not straw-man opponents. Read across ideological lines. Seek out long-form journalism, books, podcasts that exist outside engagement optimization. Create intentional friction in your consumption. Delete apps from your phone. Use browser versions. Turn off notifications. Make accessing your feeds require deliberate choice rather than unconscious reflex. Subscribe to newsletters. Read print. Engage with media formats that weren't designed by behavioural psychologists to maximise your captivity. The goal isn't to find unbiased sources, those don't exist. The goal is to triangulate reality from multiple perspectives, to see the same events through different lenses, to recognise that your cave is one among many. Second, become a critic rather than a consumer. Don't passively absorb content, interrogate it. Develop a set of Socratic questions you apply to everything. Who created this? What are their incentives? What do they gain from me believing this? What perspective is absent? What's the evidence? Is this designed to make me feel or make me think? Understand the medium. A 60-second TikTok cannot convey genuine complexity. A headline is designed to trigger clicks, not convey nuance. An image can be true and misleading simultaneously through framing and context. Learn to recognize emotional manipulation. When content makes you immediately angry or tribally proud or morally righteous, pause. That's the design working. That's the engagement optimization functioning as intended. Ask, am I reacting or responding? Is this triggering my system one emotional reactions, or am I actually thinking critically? Develop the habit of checking sources before sharing. The 3-click rule. Can you verify this claim through 3 independent, credible sources? If not, don't amplify it. Third, reframe discomfort as growth. The journey out of the cave is supposed to feel uncomfortable. If an idea doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. Learn to sit with cognitive dissonance, that grinding sensation, when new information contradicts existing beliefs. Don't immediately dismiss it or rationalize it away. Sit with it, examine it, let it complicate your understanding. This is the feeling of your mind growing, of your model of reality becoming more sophisticated, more accurate, more complete. Seek out conversations with people who think differently, genuinely, respectfully differently, not to win arguments, but to understand alternative frameworks for interpreting reality. The prisoners who stay in the cave don't do so because they are stupid. They do so because questioning everything is exhausting and destabilizing. Comfort is seductive, but comfort isn't truth, and a comfortable lie imprisons more effectively than any chain. Fourth, remember that reality exists beyond screens. The true sun, in Plato's Allegory, isn't just better information. It's direct, unmediated experience of reality. Spend time in physical spaces. Have face-to-face conversations where you can see body language, hear tone, experience the full bandwidth of human communication, rather than text-based reduction. Engage with the natural world, something that predates and will outlast all our digital constructions. Touch grass, as the meme says, but seriously. Create things with your hands. Cook, build, garden, make art. Engage with physical causality, where actions have immediate, tangible consequences, unmediated by algorithms. These practices aren't escapes from reality, they're returns to it. They recalibrate your perception, remind you that the world is richer and stranger and more complex than any screen can convey. Fifth, develop rituals of intentional disconnection, not performative digital detoxes that become their own form of content. Genuine, regular practices of being unavailable, unreachable, off-grid. 1 day a week without devices. Mornings before screens. Evenings after. Creating boundaries between your consciousness and the continuous feed. This isn't about vilifying technology, it's about establishing appropriate relationship with it. Tools should serve you. When you're compulsively checking, when you feel anxiety without your phone, when scrolling becomes unconscious, the tool is using you. Disconnection reveals how much of your mental space has been colonized. The boredom you feel without constant stimulation, that's not deficiency. That's your mind remembering how to generate its own thoughts rather than react to manufactured ones. Plato's Allegory endures not because it offers easy answers, but because it articulates a permanent human struggle, the choice between comfortable illusion and difficult truth. Every generation rebuilds the cave in new materials. Ours happens to be constructed from silicon, powered by algorithms, and projected onto glass. But the fundamental choice remains identical. Will you turn away from the shadows? Will you endure the painful adjustment to light? Will you return to help free others, knowing many will resist, some will attack, and the cave will always seem easier? Breaking free isn't a single dramatic moment. It's a continuous practice, a daily commitment, a repeated choice to question rather than accept, to think rather than react, to engage with complexity rather than retreat into simplicity. The chains are digital, but the captivity is real. The shadows are pixels, but the imprisonment is psychological. The cave is all around us, in our pockets, on our desks, integrated so thoroughly into daily life that imagining existence without it feels impossible. But the way out hasn't changed in 24 centuries. Turn away from the wall, question the shadows, endure the discomfort of adjustment, seek direct experience of reality rather than mediated representation. And when you catch glimpses of light, moments of genuine understanding, direct experience, unmediated truth, remember them, build on them, share them carefully with those ready to receive them. You are not the first to attempt this journey. You won't be the last. But the attempt itself, the willingness to question, to grow, to seek truth even when shadows are more comfortable, that's what separates prisoners from philosophers. The cave is vast, the shadows are seductive, the algorithms are powerful. But you are not merely their subject. You can become their observer, their critic, their conscious participant rather than unconscious captive. The light still exists. It's just harder to see through all the screens. Maybe it's time to look up.